Just over a year ago, a handful of people decided it was time to do something radical about the climate crisis. Calling themselves Extinction Rebellion, their plan is to cause so much disruption
somebody needs to tell the truth
that they force real change.
The age of lies is over and a new age has begun!
Now there are tens of thousands of rebels committed to using the peaceful but controversial approach.
You're a load of incompetent, middle-class, self-indulgent people who want to tell us how to live our lives. That's what you are, isn't it?
October 2019, and Extinction Rebellion plan to carry out the largest act of civil disturbance this country has ever seen by shutting down central London for 2 weeks. As the climate crisis reaches new heights at the dawn of 2020, with many linking it to the intensity of wildfires ravaging Australia.
Oh no!
This is the inside story of how a mass leaderless movement of rookie rebels attempted to raise the stakes. By illegally blocking roads and gluing themselves to buildings while the full force of the police was ranked against them.
Move out of the way!
Can rebels achieve their aim of sounding the alarm of the climate emergency?
Protect the future of your children!
Without fatally tearing their young movement apart?
What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it?
Rebels are busy preparing for the October Rebellion in London in 3 weeks' time. But their HQ isn't your traditional headquarters.
Extinction Rebellion is organised in a non-hierarchical manner. So what that means is there is nobody really in charge. There's no leadership. As long as you abide by the aims and principles, you can set yourself up as a group. You are Extinction Rebellion and you can take action.
A group is a cell of rebels that band together to plan and carry out protest actions.
And what that has done is allowed people to join Extinction Rebellion, to set up and to act really, really quickly. And it's probably been part of the reason that XR has grown so rapidly.
In less than a year, around 300 groups have sprung up across the country, making up over 100,000 members of Extinction Rebellion. Or as they like to call it, XR. Within XR Bristol, there's a group just for the over 60s that call themselves the Rebel Elders.
I look forward to seeing everybody there and let's sock it to them, eh?
While a group of medics concerned about climate change have formed Doctors for XR.
Dr. Vishal Chauhan, work in A&E from Croydon.
I'm Chris Newman, I'm a GP from North London.
Rita, I'm a GP trainee from London.
What the scientists are telling us is really, really frightening, and the health crisis that would unfold is quite shocking.
The rebels at HQ belong to central working groups. Some are volunteers, while others have given up their jobs and can claim living expenses from the movement. Parliament may have declared a climate emergency, but these rebels want to help coordinate a mass rebellion to push for much bolder government action.
So the plan is we're going right to the government this time. We're focusing in and forming like a big ring around Westminster. We've got 11 sites that will be blocking the traffic getting in and getting out. And we'll also be sitting at all of the government departments, taking the fight right to their doorstep.
Willfully blocking roads is illegal. And while rebels can support the rebellion without breaking the law, many are prepared to be arrested, calling themselves arrestables.
Arrest is really important for the simple reason that it puts such a huge strain on policing, if of course it's mass arrest situations. So currently in legal sport we're running up and down the country giving loads of know your rights trainings so that rebels who are going to take part in the rebellion go into it knowing that they are very informed about the potential consequences and impact of arrest and what that might look like.
Numbers is a big thing. So something that you couldn't do with one person, with the amount of people in this room, it's a big challenge to arrest everyone. And they might try, but things are an offence to a point, and then police will be like, no, this is too much effort. And that's kind of one of the big aims for London, I guess.
Rebels held their first full-scale rebellion in April last year. London's Metropolitan Police didn't anticipate the number of protesters or their determination.
I've been a police officer for 36 years. I have never known a single operation in which over 700 people have been arrested.
This time, rebels want to at least double that number. They're open about their plans, and Paolo has been sharing them with the police.
Always use force to make. I'll give a quick update. We had a meeting with the Met, a long meeting on Wednesday morning. We presented the plans for the October Rebellion in great detail, and then they made the following statement. The whole plan is unacceptable to London, our partners and the wider community. All available legislation will be considered in order to reduce the disruption to London.
If we occupy all of these central London sites and cause huge road blockages, the strain and stretch on police resources when it comes to managing us, clearing the streets, everything like that will be so huge, eventually they will refuse to police us and go to the government and say, you've got to listen to these people and do something about it, because we can't anymore.
Rebels have rented some disused courtrooms in South London as a warehouse for preparing the hardware for the rebellion.
Pretty much everything will be powered by solar. This is going to be one of the 3 kilowatt inverters that they'll be using to run the lights and the projector. It's nice to have music so that people can have good morale and good vibes in the evenings. And it's also important that people can be heard when they're having their talks, because if you've got 5,000 people standing in front of a stage, it's nice to have amplified power.
Power's not the only morale booster they're laying on.
We've got a lot of toilets to make. Yeah, just trying to make sure that everyone has got their needs met really as much as possible and they've got toilets to go to, rather than crashing into shops as much as possible.
One of the biggest challenges is keeping all the different rebel groups up to date and on message in the heat of the rebellion.
One of the great tools we have to help us do this, apart from social media, is this Telegram app, which is brilliant. We've got over 12,000 subscribers on the Rebellion broadcast channel, and you can just ping in an update or a call for help or an action that's coming up, and over 12,000 people will get it in their phone. Lots of emojis, and and also keeping them as short as possible helps. And I totally know that we have members of police and journalists in these chats, but that's okay because they're not designed to be private or secret. It's how we operate. Everything is open.
Two days before the rebellion is due to start, the rebels at the disused courtrooms get a surprise visit. Several vans full of police officers have turned up outside.
The police were being really, really intimidating for anyone that was trying to take anything in or out of the building, and actually made a few arrests of people who literally were driving vans full of gazebos and flags.
10 rebels have been arrested on suspicion of conspiracy to cause a public nuisance.
Where's future? Our future! Extinction! Rebellion!
This charge has never been used against rebels before, but it does give the police the power to enter and search the premises. The rebels inside decide to act quickly.
I think to try and get out some of this expensive kit that we want, so if we can slow down the police at all, there's some way to get out over the roofs. Right, we're only willing to to split up. Is there anyone here that knows how to use tools? Yeah. Right, yeah, great. So we need to find like either hammer and nails or screw gun and screws. But I don't know all the tools we've got. I'm trying to barricade the doors so that we can buy a bit more time. Yeah, we're all leaving. Police, I think, broken in or they're coming in. There's no point in staying, we're all gonna leave.
To the Extinction Rebellion protesters, you have already seen that if you act unlawfully, we will arrest you, and we will seize the things that you are using to obstruct the highways in London. We will continue to be very positive and deal with unlawful behaviour.
It's shaken people, but it's also given people like a, yeah, okay, right, we're in rebellion now.
It's dawn on the first day of Extinction Rebellion's plan to block the roads at 11 sites around Parliament. Even though Parliament has declared a climate emergency, the rebels want to put pressure on the government to make the climate their #1 priority.
We're from Exile North Norfolk. We're on the train to London from Norwich, and here is our lovely banner.
I'm on the train from Carlisle to London Euston, going down to show support for the peaceful protests in favour of strong climate action.
We've come down on the coach and we are now here and ready to protest.
The roads will be blocked by rebel groups acting independently, using any non-violent tactics they can.
Lots of rebels will choose to do things like bringing on large bits of infrastructure, and all of this has the impact of managing to hold a site on the street for much longer. It makes it so much harder for the police to clear.
People got the power!
One group has designed a 15-metre tall lighthouse, which they hope to build on Westminster Bridge. No one is in charge of the rebel groups, but the action coordinators gather nearby to keep tabs on developments.
Because often there's a lot of panic and there's a lot of like rumour mill and people like exaggerate what's going on. So we're going to be getting like on-the-ground updates from cyclists, and then from a few people that we know at each site just directly, and then we'll be sending sort of the like broadcast information out to everybody, short and sweet, with just like what we know rather than kind of hearsay.
Thousands of police from across the country are also getting into position. They have a clear command structure with orders issued from Metropolitan Police's high-tech operations centre. Rebels quickly respond and start blocking the roads. 2 vans carry materials to build the lighthouse onto Westminster Bridge. Police clock what's going on and manage to stop the pieces being unloaded. A few hundred metres away, outside the Home Office, an XR group from Bristol take a more direct approach.
Extinction!
And it doesn't take long for the rebel elders to join in with the action.
Police have come down quite hard. There have been about don't know, 100 or so police on each site, I think. And their main target, unsurprisingly, has been the infrastructure, so the stages, and they took away some of the structures for what was going to be a lighthouse on this bridge. And they've taken also the food and cooking urns and loos and everything that they know will keep us living here.
Taking the sites might feel a little touch and go to rebels at ground level, but the HQ coordinators are being fed the bigger picture.
Lambeth Bridge is in, Millbank is in, Victoria Tower Gardens has moved to St James's Park, the Mile's in, Horse Guards Road's in.
There's one final linchpin site to stop traffic reaching Parliament: Trafalgar Square.
Still half an hour to a game. So nervous.
While some rebels hold a noisy protest to one side as a diversion, others wait for the nod to be broadcast on the messaging app.
People sort of waiting around behind lampposts and round corners and stuff. It's amazing how it can look like there's nothing there, and then suddenly everyone's there.
A lot of people waiting for it to kick off, and I think people are waiting for the signal.
Go, move.
At the same moment, rebels block the other entrances by locking themselves onto a trailer and a symbolic hearse.
I'm doing this because I accept the reality of the climate breakdown and what that means.
A load of police officers just pounced on me. One of them grabbed my finger and snapped it. I heard it snap. As you can see, it's not looking too pretty.
I think we've got Trafalgar Square. We've fucking done it. This is brilliant. So Trafalgar Square is one of the most disruptive sites. So being able to take this and have all these numbers just come in slowly and not get kettled, I'm bloody impressed. These people are amazing.
The media and messaging team have set up shop in a cafe on the square, ready to communicate the rebels' progress.
We've got reps on our side from the office connecting with all of the different sites so that we hit the deadline so that the media have something for us before the 1 o'clock news.
Police have arrested more than 130 people in connection with a climate change protest in London organised by Extinction Rebellion. The group has blocked Lambeth and Westminster bridges, but says its aim is to shut down the whole of Westminster.
But Londoners don't need the news to hear about the rebellion.
Everybody's daily lives are being disrupted. I understand what they're doing, but I've got a day's work to do, same as everybody else. They have no right to do this.
I think, what they're doing is brave, and, they're actually the ones who are, speaking out and doing something about it.
It's not an issue, but that's the way that they're going on about it, and this is definitely not helping no one.
These guys obviously can afford to just hang around and make a noise.
I pretty much agree with what they're doing. I've got kids myself, so, you know, I want them to have a nice, safe planet.
Rebellion!
Late in the evening, rebel coordinators get together to take stock of the wider impact of the rebellion.
We got a range of amazing coverage today. Across the political spectrum, there was coverage of us from The Spectator and The Telegraph. The Daily Mail, for the first time, provided excitable and positive framing of XR protests.
Also, it was covered in BBC News at 6, News at 10, News at 9. They're interviewing Gail now for 10, but I think Channel 4 has got it ITV, so it's across all News and Sky.
The rebels have been able to hold their roadblocks around Parliament overnight, but the state isn't prepared to let them continue.
If you want to protest, you can go to the middle of Trafalgar Square. If you are protesting in the other sites, you're acting unlawfully, we will arrest you.
Police officers have had their powers increased and impose new conditions under a section of the Public Order Act.
Hello. Morning.
On the wall. How you doing?
You're more than welcome to head down to Trafalgar Square. That is a designated area that you're allowed to assemble. If you choose to remain here, potentially later on, the decision is going to be made for people to start being arrested for breaching.
The information is that the police are declaring Trafalgar Square as the only place for legal protest, which means that at some stage today they're going to want to come around and will ask us to leave. Yeah, if we don't leave, then we're liable to arrest.
So we need arrestables here.
At HQ, there's some surprise in the way this Section 14 of the Act is being used.
So normally the way it works is you're forbidden from congregating in a specific area for a certain time frame, whereas here they've reversed it and said you're only allowed to congregate in a specific area for this time frame. So that to us it very firmly feels like they are stretching the definition of what a Section 14 is quite dramatically.
Most rebels decide to stay put at their sites, but the police soon start using their new powers to try and force them towards Trafalgar Square.
We are literally on the precipice, and each one of you as an individual, you can take a stand. The first one of you to take a stand will go down in history as the person who said no. I'm an environmental scientist and I'm shitting myself. One officer, please!
Come and protect the future of your children!
Have your kids grown? No, because understand, brother, understand the bigger picture.
The first duty of police is to protect citizens!
Told me if I come back to Parliament Square tonight, that's it. I'm going to be arrested immediately for breaching the order. They've gone Hong Kong style.
So if you're non-arrestable, they tell you to move, you move. But if you are arrestable, you say no.
Extinction Rebellion recognised that getting arrested isn't a way of protesting that will appeal to everyone.
So this probably isn't a safe place for me to put myself.
From when I was 12 years old, police have stopped me aggressively. It's nothing new. As a working class black woman, it's nothing new. I'm used to it.
But for some rebels, the clampdown offers an opportunity to stretch police resources even further.
You may be arrested.
Being told that if they go to specific areas, they will get arrested, it might almost act as an encouragement.
Ladies and gentlemen, please keep moving! Yes, Father! Thank you!
At Trafalgar Square itself, rebels take advantage of the police being busy elsewhere to shore up the site with some serious kit.
We got everything out over the back of the warehouse as the police were smashing the front doors in, so we're effectively back to full power again. Part of the fun.
Having the run of Trafalgar Square allows rebels to unleash their creativity.
You'd be surprised how wonderful it makes you feel. We want to show, as older people, that we really care about this. We're conscious of everything that's happened in our lifetimes and our responsibility. And the young people are leading this, but we're right behind them.
But as the struggle to hold on to the other sites continues, some are questioning the tactics.
The point isn't to hold sites, the point is to cause disruption that raises the alarm. You know, that's the key, and I think we're missing a trick a little bit. Maybe we can carry out other forms of disruption and be more agile.
A group of coordinators from HQ have been coming up with a plan to disrupt a very different kind of site.
We're going to non-violently occupy the area around City Airport, right? We're going to be there at 9 a.m. What are we going to do? Oh, there we go.
Protesters from Extinction Rebellion are gradually being pushed to one site by police. Trafalgar Square.
What do we want? Violent justice! When do we want it? Now!
To make sure they continue to make an impact, the rebels have come up with a plan.
The airport, leaving soon.
The idea of shutting down London's City Airport inspires hundreds to join the action.
Yeah, this is why I feel like there's so much pressure to make this action today actually do something, because we're in this sort of fighting, scrappy position, and we've got to show that we've still got some people power, you know.
It's really clear to me that these airports are a sign of a society we can no longer afford to be living in. So the harm that it's causing, the lives that it's harming by flying, it's just not in our culture to even consider that.
Vishal is one of several medics who feel this is a good place to voice their frustration at the lack of climate action.
We're here to shut this airport down because 26 people every day die in London because of air pollution.
Well, I don't know what they're calling themselves this week, but they're blocking the road, stopping decent, hard-working folk from going about their daily business. Why don't you go and get jobs?
Our government has been criminally negligent in its inaction against climate change.
A few rebels dress in their business best and have bought plane tickets so they can enter the airport terminal itself. Many more rebels sit down at the entrance to the airport.
Looks fun. And you've already screwed it in?
No, not yet.
Okay. But you know how to do it?
Just screw it tight and then take the cap off and squeeze.
Gluing to the floor makes the police's job of keeping the airport moving harder. Some of the rebels disguised as passengers are quickly picked up. But others get further. Paralympic medal winner turned rebel James Brown is partially sighted.
Okay, here I am. On top of a fucking airplane. At City Airport. I hate heights, I'm shitting myself. You can't say there's a climate emergency and then continue to subsidise fossil fuel industries. This is for my kids, this is for everybody's kids.
Planes continue to take off with minimal delays, but rebels are determined to make full use of the moment.
Every flight that takes off is killing people and causing harm, but hopefully this will create a conversation in the British public that our government needs to stop expanding airports and start shrinking the amount of flights that are taking place.
just hope it's worth it. I hope the British people listen to what doctors and all these people are saying.
On day 4 of Extinction Rebellion climate change protests, demonstrators have targeted London's City Airport, although they failed to stop it from shutting down.
Back in central London, the only remaining rebel roadblocks are on the fringes of Trafalgar Square.
It's feeling like it hangs in the balance right now, I think, because the big threshold it's got to get over is, does this grow the movement? Are we still, like, building, or have we hit a peak and then we're going to fall?
As the police start to push rebels back to the allowed protest zone on the square itself, quick-thinking rebels take to the stage to boost morale.
Please remain peaceful.
We are not in a hierarchy like the police. We are not an oppressive regime like our society and our government right now. No, we're all together sharing these resources. And if one of us falls, if one of our sites falls, we share, we regrow, we come back, and we come back stronger. And so we need to make a decision about what the future of this site is going to be, our response to the police, and how that affects on the rest of the rebellion.
Rebels decide to try and hold the roadblocks by the square.
For every day that the rebellion keeps going on, it makes the police look bad. And so a lot of pressure will be put on them to do whatever they can to make it go away.
Even using the extra powers from the Section 14 of the Public Order Act, the police have been stretched to their limit for a week.
Officers are dropping off because they're getting sick, they're exhausted.
Unwilling to let rebels wear them down any further, police ratchet their powers up yet again.
Last week, we'd said to Extinction Rebellion that the only place you can lawfully assemble for protest is in Trafalgar Square. Last night, we added a duration to that protest. So we said you can lawfully assemble at Trafalgar Square for protest purposes up until 9 o'clock, that's 2100, last night. After that time, no assembly for protest is lawful, and as a result, would be liable for arrest.
This feels very unprecedented. To do a sort of citywide, this huge overarching Section 14 ban is something we've not seen before.
Any two people with Extinction Rebellion connections gathering is now, in theory, allegedly according to the police, against the Section 14 order. There's a strong case for saying what they're doing is illegal, that it's infringing civil liberties, infringing our right to protest, our right to assembly. You would need sort of serious justification for that.
You know, I've got a 2-year-old grandson, and I'm scared to death about what the future of the world may be when he's my age. It's my right to peaceful protest, and I just wonder where can I go to do that?
Rebels immediately begin responding to the police's unprecedented measure.
Yesterday, our lawyers wrote to the police asking them to withdraw the order, and they refused to do so. So this morning, we put in an application for judicial review at the High Court.
You know, this is an urgent application.
While XR lawyers take up the legal challenge, hundreds of rebels on the street sense an opportunity.
This is a crucial moment. It's either going to completely extinguish everything, or it's going to really fan the flames, and people are going to go, what the fuck, this is insane. We don't have to block roads anymore, just turning out and being there should be enough now.
This is indeed what democracy looks like here.
But there's one group who feels so frustrated, they want to go much further.
We don't know what else to do. And people, you know, willing to not be liked and to go to prison just for the sake of really trying to raise the alarm further.
Mark's part of a group that plan to close down sections of the London Underground. This radical idea worries some rebels so much, They used a messaging app to carry out a snap poll of 4,000 rebels. The result is a clear warning that the plan risks rupturing Extinction Rebellion itself. But with individual groups free to do whatever they like as long as it keeps to core principles, the support teams at HQ start to prepare.
I met the superintendent there at St James's Park, and he just went through he said that, you know, the proposed action is wholly unacceptable, utterly irresponsible and dangerous. Among the risks to passengers include being crushed, potential contact with live rails. Risks to protesters include being dragged under the train, and of course, passengers self-policing. And passenger crime is increasing sharply.
Okay. Thank you, Paolo.
Okay.
Yes. Not really.
It is controversial. And there's going to be a lot of people in the movement, and there's going to be a lot of public that really hate it.
The government say they're tackling climate change and aim for carbon emissions to reach net zero by 2050. But Extinction Rebellion believe this is too slow and have been trying to pile on the pressure for almost 2 weeks. Now, with their right to protest in the capital withdrawn in an unprecedented move by police, a group plan to disrupt the London Underground.
You may have followed that inside the movement there's a lot of disquiet, displeasure about this because you know, it's perceived as going against the wishes of the majority, and I think that's probably true.
Given the hard line the authorities have been taking, Paolo was only told the exact location to pass on to the police as the disruption begins.
Okay, well, I've just been informed it's in Canning Town.
Here we have activists who have jumped on top of a train at Canning Town station.
Sorry, mate, we'll be on there, you prick. Get out, we've got to go fucking work.
Morning, Paolo.
Morning, Wayne. It's at Canning Town. I'm just looking.
Canning Town?
Canning Town, yes. I'm looking at the live video.
We're so sorry.
Get him, go. Give it go. Don't do that. Stand here, give it bigger, mate. Come down and give it fucking bigger.
Okay, lovely.
Lovely. Cheers.
What did they know that we don't know? What did they know that we don't know?
People have to work without people working, right? Yeah. People have to work.
This is just the reaction many rebels feared.
Just hoping here that there is no, as they call it, self-policing by passengers.
You're fucking everyone's out, and then you ain't gonna change shit.
Tell you what, mate, come down here. Come down here. Look how far you get.
Violence solves everything.
Look at us.
Just now, you fucking dickhead. Do it on the right fucking.
It's unlike any scenes we've seen so far, then, isn't it?
We were warned. Fucking disaster.
I know.
It's very easy to start with recriminations and say that should have happened, that should have happened. It's clear that we need to look at this very carefully and learn from it.
No one wants the scenes that we saw. It's horrendous.
Right, what are your belongings, man?
Yeah, this bag here. What the outcome will be, what effect this will have, I don't know. I hope it produces a visceral effect and people think about the emergency.
The nation's press are leading with the story. And as calls pour into Rebel HQ, it's up to Sarah to help explain the action and save the movement from breaking point.
My feeling is that at this moment we have to stand up and absolutely back this action. We've got the press in front of us, so we acknowledge the action, acknowledge the disruption, even acknowledge the division, and then we turn it and we go for, but why are we, having to do this? What's driven us to take this kind of radical disruptive action? Brilliant. Yes. Yeah, it's an act of desperation, right? Okay. Yeah. We're facing the deaths of our children, and this is an act of desperation. What else can we do? The footage is fairly horrible, but no, yeah, but that's going to go around the world, right? Oh, fucking hell.
Commuters have clashed with Extinction Rebellion activists at a number of tube stations in East London this morning.
I can totally understand the frustration of people literally trying to get to work, travelling on public transport, because that's the sort of thing you're supposed to do if you're trying to save the planet.
One person saying, I just want to get to work. So haven't you surely shot yourself in the foot?
So I really understand the level of disruption that this action has caused, and in no way do I want to minimise it.
Is that sort of an admission that you got it wrong this time?
So I don't think we've got it wrong necessarily, because today I'm sitting in this studio and we've been bumped 3 times from this morning's studios in the last 10 days, and it's taken us being this disruptive to get on your programme.
Is that why you did it?
Extinction Rebellion may be getting the press coverage they crave, but it's left rebels feeling confused and divided. Despite feeling bruised, rebels have succeeded in pulling off one of the largest acts of civil disturbance that London has ever seen.
Just despite everything, despite the police coming down hard and the Section 14, people are still out here using their right to peaceful protest, and yeah, it really feels amazing.
Rebels have faced the challenges of being part of a leaderless movement. But it's the police's approach that has been found wanting.
The climate activist group Extinction Rebellion has won a legal challenge against the Metropolitan Police.
The High Court ruled that the Metropolitan Police overreached their powers in their struggle to contain the protest. And over 1,000 arrests have been dropped.
We're delighted with today's result. It vindicates our belief that the police's blanket ban was an unprecedented and now unlawful infringement on our right to protest.
Having the police try and ban an entire movement is a massive success, because you only have to ban a movement that's powerful and that represents a truth that you're scared to tell. So it shows we've got power, and it shows they're scared.
Public concern over the climate crisis has reached an all-time high. Though some criticise XR's demands as unrealistic, its members plan to continue to rebel until the government treats the climate emergency with the urgency they believe it demands.
I've stepped over the line now. I really feel like I'm not a law-abiding citizen. I'm free now to do what's needed to fulfill this urge, this desire in me to prevent unnecessary suffering of people in this country and around the world. We've got some cool stuff planned.